Okay, all right. Welcome everybody to today's training. We're super excited for everything that's going on. I know it's crazy with the March Madness and everything. Unfortunately, some of us got eliminated sooner than others, but that's okay. We're okay with it. So, hey, Steve, why don't you go ahead and say a few words, and then we'll get started.
Yeah. My bracket, for those of you that are doing the March Madness thing, I said to Malin, she said, "Oh, we should look up, what our percentage is." And I go, "I'm not interested anymore." Just want to rip up my bracket. So, hey, good games today. I think Scotty is still in the tournament with his Louisville team. That's why he's probably not involved this morning. But Jerem, I'm excited to see what you got for us. I see your training. Looks very exciting to me. I just want to say one thing before we get going is that, hey, at the end of the month, the leadership team have a call with ownership, which is exciting, as always. And then, we've got some pretty good indications as to what's happening right after the end of the month. So hang in there. We're in the, I would call it the final stretch here. So I think, a couple of weeks, we should be off to the races, Jerem.
Awesome, love it. Okay, well, that's perfect intro to what I'm going to train on today, because we need to be ready for when all of this really starts to go crazy, and understand how the compensation model and some of the sales terms that we use and everything come up. Because as more people come, our job is to really educate them, right? To educate them on not only what is blockchain and what the products do and everything, but just how they can monetize what it is we're doing, right? And we want to make sure that we can answer those questions. And so I put today's training together. It's mostly about the compensation plan, but there's a few other little things in there that have come up over the last few weeks of questions, people wondering what makes us different and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick, and we will jump into this training. So Cirrus Networks, sales and compensation concepts. Okay. So disclaimer, as always, when we're talking about compensation, obviously it's an exciting opportunity, right? And it rewards us for selling the products and services, either as an affiliate or associate. And we're sitting pretty with everything we have, because everything we offer is very attractive, and a lot of people are going to want to be a part of it. But we never want to come across as guaranteeing any kind of income, any kind of guarantee that you're going to make so much or whatever. If anybody promised you, hey, you're going to be a millionaire overnight with this, that's not true. Okay, it does require effort. It requires talent. It requires some timing, all those different things, right? But if you do the work, then and you're a leader, right? And you show leadership skills, then the potential obviously is amazing. Okay, so what is the Cirrus Network Cloud9 compensation plan? Well, it was specifically crafted by awesome experts that we all know and love, and it's designed to just empower us, right? Empower us as individuals to embrace the Gnodi Decentralized Ecosystem, of course, but then also help us to achieve goals where we can make that now money, right? Because I see it kind of as two parts. We have the reward side, which is maybe a little bit longer term, right? As the rewards start to develop and more nodes go out, there's more utility, all of that kind of thing. But there's also the commerce piece of it, which is today, right? And how we can start to get paid in dollars right now, starting this week. So here is one of the biggest things that have been coming out, and especially when people try and compare us to other opportunities, people will ask, well, how is this not a pyramid? And why is it that we're not registered with the SEC, right? And they just kind of throw that out there because, they probably heard negative things or, read some article out there, whatever. But here's the answer, okay? Number one is when you purchase a node, you're actually purchasing a software license, right? So we are doing sales of products, okay? Very, very important. It's just the same as if you were to purchase an Adobe Photoshop license, right? Or any other kind of app on your phone. You pay for that software, and now you have a license to use that software for whatever you're doing, okay? So it's not an investment, right? The money that comes in to the company, if somebody buys a node, right? It's not money that then the company is managing like an investment. They're going to try and get returns on it and everything. No, it's a purchase. It's a one-time purchase that somebody bought that software license now, and they can now use that in perpetuity, right? It's theirs. Okay, they have ownership now, but that money now is, and basically 50% of it gets paid back out into the compensation model, right, to the affiliates and associates, and the other 50% goes back to the company for further development and growth, right? That's the whole point. It's revenue for the company. That's what it's a sale. Okay. So how is it not a money grab? Well, our products are software as a service. Okay. They are products, whether they are nodes or subscriptions, either one. Some companies sell legal protection, right? And people just buy that, and it's a product. Somebody's buying that. Others sell shopping portal memberships. So a node is a service, okay? It gives you ownership in a blockchain, and the blockchain is programmed to distribute digital rewards every day to node owners. Whether those rewards have any value totally depends on the utility that's offered and the market, okay? So when there's use case, being able to use those rewards to purchase other products and services, or even being sold on an open exchange, well then, yeah, they'll have some value. Okay, but that's a separate thing. It's not coming from the money you spent to buy the node. It's coming from the rewards you get every day and them potentially having a value at some point because of the utility. Okay, so that's the separation. That's the distinction. So what about SEC registration? Cirrus and Gnodi is not registered with the SEC because they don't need to be, because the SEC deals with investments and securities. Right? Neither Cirrus nor Gnodi are dealing in investments at all. Okay? We're not taking people's money and promising any kind of return on it. We're selling products and services, and that's it. Right? So that is the answer. That's what makes us different from any other of those programs out there that are promising, trading and ROIs and a certain percentage every day and all that kind of stuff. That's not us at all. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about comp plan. It is goal-oriented because it supports you in setting and achieving short, mid, and long-term objectives. That was part of the design of it, right? Parallel growth, which helps you to grow the decentralized Gnodi blockchain while unlocking additional digital rewards. Okay, so there's some cool things with that. Fast rewards, right? It incentivizes the affiliates and associates with quick and tangible benefits. You've got leadership empowerment. It encourages and promotes leadership with matching bonuses, right? Things like that we'll talk about. And frequent rewards. So you've got both weekly and monthly incentives to keep you motivated, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the terms. We got the glossary, right? So the first three things we need to understand in our compensation model is that there's three ways to participate. You can be an affiliate, which is an independent representative who has enrolled as an affiliate, and they can now earn on one level of affiliate pay, right? Just one level, that's it, okay? So some people like that, some people prefer that. There's many people I know that just, they're not into team building. They're not into trying to be a leader. They just have an influence and they want to go and get a whole bunch of people involved, and that's it. But they don't want to have to be training people, right? That's fine. That's okay. That if that's the case, then great, be an affiliate. There's the associate, which is what most of us are familiar with, and that is where you're an independent representative who can now participate in the multi-level commission plan. Okay, and then there's the customer. The customer is somebody who doesn't want to make money with this. That's not their goal, right? Their goal is to just use the products and services. be a digital landlord potentially with, buying a node or whatever, but they're not interested at all in sharing the word about it, right? They just want to, okay, I'm in, I want to use the products and services, and that's great. So that's fine. And you can pick whichever one. Obviously, we want customers. Okay. That's something, speaking of government agencies, the FTC, that's something that they look at, and they will want to see that we do have a good, healthy ratio of customers to associates and affiliates. Okay. So when you decide to join as either an associate or an affiliate, you're going to enroll other people, right? You're getting a link that you can share with people that want to join. And so you can then enroll other affiliates, associates, or customers, right? And when you do, you have to think of it kind of like a parent-child relationship, okay? So you enroll people and they're kind of like your kids. And then they can enroll people and that's kind of like your grandkids, okay? And then great grandkids and so on, right? So there's this familiar structure, right, of parent-child and so on. And the person enrolling is the enroller, the child person is the enrollee, okay? And the commissions are paid based on that. So the tree keeps track of who enrolled who. Okay, that's what it is. And it's pretty easy to see, when you go in your back office, they've got a really amazing tree view that you can look at. But bottom line is, for the most part, you're going to be working with the people that you personally enroll, right? And it can go infinite wide. You can go as long as it's not a forced matrix situation. This is one where every single person you enroll goes front to you. And that is good because a lot of people, maybe 3-4 years down the road, you come across a leader that you want to work with and, you sign them up. And in a forced matrix, unfortunately, you would have to say, oh, sorry, I'm going to place you down like 10 levels below me because that's all that there is, right? Whereas with a unilevel type plan, you can have as many people direct to you as you want. And people like that kind of relationship, okay? So that's really cool. And as you do so, you're going to, the more you can personally enroll, the more chances you're going to have of it going, good. Because not everybody's going to work hard. So ideally, you're going to try and get as many as you can because you just never know who's going to do what, okay? But you do have the option, if you want, to do placement. So we have another structure that's called the placement tree. I like to call it the team building structure, or TBS. That's a term I've learned over the years, and I like it because it makes sense to people. It's my team, right? It's my team that I'm building out, TBS, and it usually will mirror, right? Like 1-to-1. But if you decide to place somebody, you can. Okay, that is an option. You have 30 days from the date of enrollment to place somebody, and it could be for any reason. It could be maybe because they know each other already. It could be because maybe they're from the same country and they want to work together, right? There's reasons why you might want to place somebody, but you do it sparingly. Only do it when it makes sense. Okay, don't do it just as incentive, right, for somebody because maybe they don't, somebody doesn't want to be placed, or maybe they're not going to work together well. So only do it when there's a really good reason. Okay, so here's kind of how it could look, right? So here's you, all right, and let's say you went and you enrolled 3 people, right? So there you go. You got your first 3 people on your first level, and then what's going to happen is they're going to start to enroll some people. Okay, so you can see, your level 2 is starting to fill in because the first 3 people that you brought are starting to work, right? And they're starting to enroll some people. So that's great. And then maybe you have some people and you're thinking, you know what? Yeah, I am going to start out helping out, right? I'm going to place, and kind of fill in on that second level there, kind of give some, people some incentive or whatever. And that's great. Okay. Now what's going to happen? You're just going to keep enrolling people, right? Your job is to keep enrolling and to teach others to keep enrolling. Now here's what your third level could look like, right? So now those people on the second level, they're starting to enroll and it's starting to grow. And you can see that even though you personally only enrolled at this point, maybe 5, 6, 7 people, but your team is starting to have, 20, 30 people or more because of the power of duplication. And that is what we're talking about. That's why we love this model, is because you don't have to do it by yourself. You can now earn from the power of the entire team, not just your own efforts, right? And then, of course, you continue to enroll, they continue to enroll, and it just grows. And you can see by the time you got, if you were to just be a perfect 3 by whatever structure, because that's kind of the average that people enroll is around 3 people. At 10 levels, that's almost 60,000 people on that 10th level, right? And you're thinking to yourself already, I know, oh, but Jeremy, our plan only pays on 6 levels. So, why do I care what happens after levels, 6? And, why are you showing me level 10? Well, because here's what happens, okay? Number one, you get a whole bunch of customers, okay? Because people, these enrollment positions, I like to call them business centers, because each of these business centers or associate positions could potentially have another 2, 3, 5, 10 customers attached to them. Okay, you think of them as like little moons that are orbiting that enrollment, or that person, that the associate or the affiliate. But the other thing is, because of something called dynamic compression, we can actually go very deep into the organization. Okay, so you might be earning off of level 10 very easily, right? And so as it grows like that, and you potentially have 60,000 people or 80,000 people on your team, right? Because down into levels 8, 9, and 10 and beyond, well, that's okay. That's okay, because you actually could potentially be earning on them. And I'll show you here how that works in just a second. So the other thing we need to understand is that we have volume. Okay, we call it volume, and it's sales volume. And with our comp plan, which I love, it's a 1-to-1 ratio for the most part. Okay, which means every dollar is worth 1 point of commissionable volume, or CV. So everything we sell, every product, because again, we're selling products, right? So every product that we sell, whether it's nodes, whether it's services, doesn't matter, you're getting that 1-to-1 ratio. So if it's a $1,200 golden node, right, you're going to get 1,200 PV, okay, and 1,200 CV. Now, what's the difference? Well, personal volume is basically, it's the qualifier. Okay, personal volume is what allows you to be considered qualified to earn commissions. It's kind of like if you were in a sales job and they would basically say you make your base plus commissions, and you got to hit a certain amount before commissions kick in. That's what it is, right? You got to have a certain amount of personal sales to then be able to say, yep, okay, you're good to earn on everything else. Okay, so that's what the PV is. And in our compensation plan, it's 100. Okay, you just got to have 100. That's it for it to begin. And then there's another thing where if you have 500, then you unlock an extra bonus. The other thing is the group volume. Now, the group volume, or GV, this has to do with your entire team and how much volume is going on, and that is another qualifier that determines your rank. Okay, so if you're trying to go up through the different ranks in the compensation, you need a certain amount of group volume that is capped by certain ranks have a certain limit per leg, and we'll talk about that as well. But needless to say, every product has CV and PV, and they're the same amounts, but just the way they're defined for different unlocking is the PV and the GV. Okay, so here's that dynamic compression thing I was talking about. Okay, so there's 2 things you got to think about. Number one, you got to consider if the person is active. So at the end of the month, when they calculate commissions, what it does, right? The commission engine, like we call it, it's the computer. What it does is it calculates, and it asks 2 questions. Okay, the first question it will ask is, hey, is this person active? In other words, do they have their 50 points as just an associate, or do they have their 100 points as a cloud 1 or higher? Okay, so it will ask that question, and if the answer is yes, then it will ask the second question. Okay, what rank are they? Right. So does their rank unlock the level or the tier where they're earning from? Okay. So in this example, clear down on tier 10, right? 10 levels below you, a customer buys a mini node that's $100. Okay, so there's 100 volume that just came into the system. And what the computer will do is it'll look one person up and it'll say, okay, the enroller, right? In this case, the enroller of this customer, number one, are they active, right? Do they have at least 50 points? Because it's just, it's that first level. And number two, are they at least an associate, right? And if the answer is yes, great. Okay, they get paid, right? And then it goes to the next person above. And it says, hey, are they active? Yes. Okay. Are they at least a cloud 2? Because you got to be at least a cloud 2 to unlock 2 levels of pay, right? So, okay, yep, they're a cloud 2. Great. They get paid. It goes up one more. And it says, hey, are you active? Yes. Are you at least a cloud 5? Because you got to be a cloud 5 to unlock 3 levels of pay, right? So, boom. Yes, they are good. Then it goes to the next person. Are they active? Yes. But at that point, they've got to be a cloud 7. Right? To get 4 levels of pay, they got to be a cloud 7. So they're not going to get paid. Next person, are they at least a cloud 7? Yes, but they weren't active. They hadn't paid. So guess what? They don't get paid. So then it goes to the next one. Are they active? Yes, but are they a cloud 7? Nope. So it skips them. The next person, they active? Yes. Are they a cloud 7? Nope, they're not. Skips. Then it goes finally to the next person. Are they active? Yes. Are they a cloud 7? Yes. Okay, pay. And then the one level below you, yes, cloud 9, right? You got to have to get paid on level 5. You got to be a cloud 9. And then finally to you, are you active? And are you at least a Rainmaker 2? So you can earn on all 6 levels, right? And yes, you get paid. So that's why we say with our comp plan, you can drive it deep, because if people aren't either active or they're not qualified for the rank to get paid on that commission just keeps rolling up until it finds somebody who is qualified and at that rank. So that's why it's okay to go deep, right, in this comp plan, because we've got this amazing dynamic and special compression. Okay. Then the next thing that happens, so you've got a third way to get paid, right? The third way to get paid is through the check matching bonus. And this is paid out now on generations, okay? So as a cloud 5, you're now qualified to earn 10% on the first generation of people on your team. Now, generation is very different from a level, okay? So you can see here graphically kind of what it looks like. You've got, so here's you, and this is your first level, and that's the second level, and that's the third level, and that's the fourth level. All of these people could potentially be part of your first generation of check match. Why? Because what cuts it off isn't levels. What cuts it off is rank. And so the cutoff doesn't happen until somebody actually also becomes a cloud 5, just like you, right? So in this situation, this person over here on the right, they became a cloud 5. Okay, so you're a cloud 5, they're a cloud 5. So that person, everything down below them is now that second generation. Okay, so if you're a cloud 6, guess what? Cloud 6 can now earn 2 generations, right? And so that's great news, because now in generation 2, that could be hundreds, thousands of people, you just don't know. And then it doesn't cut off again until somebody becomes, again, another generation similar, whether it's a cloud 5 or a cloud 6, right? And then you now have to be even one rank above that to get generation 3. Okay, so then you can see in the third generation, that also starts once these individuals become, cloud 5, cloud 6, and so on. Then it starts a whole new generation of people, from cloud 1 to cloud 4, basically, which again could be hundreds of thousands of people. And then where it finally cuts off for good is then anything in generation 4, then they're just, that's done, right? But once you hit a Rainmaker, you're going to get all 3 generations of people check match, okay, which is 10% of whatever their check is. If they made $1,000, you make 100, okay, on lots of people. So super fun. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the leg max thing, okay? So for rank qualification, we talked about group volume. Okay. And so you just have to have a certain amount of group volume. That's really what it comes down to. Ranking up is all about building your team and having volume. Okay. And so to do it, you do have to balance it out a little bit though. Okay. So for example, all the way up to cloud 3, you can take 100% of the volume that's happening in a single leg, right? Like you could just build out one single leg and you could earn all the way up to cloud 3 just based on that volume in that single leg. Now, obviously, it's not a wise thing to do that. I just build one leg, right? But you could, because 100% of it can come from that one leg. But from basically at cloud 5, you've got a 70% rule that kicks in. Okay. What does that mean? So you can see here in the graph that basically what's happening is if you have a runaway leg that's going crazy and it's got, 50,000 volume in it or whatever, but your second leg maybe only has 1,000 volume in it. Well, guess what? You're not going to qualify because the rule is that they can only take 70%, right? Or 7,000 from that strong leg. Meaning the other 3,000 needs to come from any combination of the other legs, right? So in this case, he's got plenty of volume, but because most of it's coming from one single leg, he's not going to qualify at the cloud 5 because he's still missing 2,000 outside of that strong leg. Okay, so that's the example. So that's why we say, you could technically go all the way to cloud 9 with just 3 legs. You could technically do it, but it's better and in the long run safer to build as many direct legs as possible, because then you can work with your top leaders and make sure that there's some backup there, basically, right? Because you want some strong legs growing from multiple people, not just one where you place them all. That's I won't say lazy, but it's just unwise. Okay, all right. So then, talking about commission periods, right? We have weekly commissions and we have monthly commissions, and it's all based on Pacific time zone. And I think that's just because that's where the servers are in California that, figure it out. But the bottom line is that you've got from Tuesday to Monday. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. Tuesday to Monday at 11:59 p.m. That's the cutoff. So Mondays should be kind of your big day, right? That Monday should be the day where you're like, okay, what do we get this week, right? To qualify for the commissions that then pay out on the following Friday. Okay. And then the monthly commissions are calculated on the 9th of the following month. So everything ends on midnight, the last day of the month, right? So March 31st, boom, at midnight, you're done. And then on the 9th, they will go in and calculate it. Unless it's a weekend or a holiday, then it would be paid on the following next business day, whenever that is. Okay. So that is the calendar. That's how that works. All right, so let's talk about those 3 ways to earn just real quick, a little bit more detail. So the first way to earn, you got those direct commissions, which is where you're earning 20%. Okay, so 20% on direct commissions from your personal enrollment network, right? So you earn those direct commissions from the purchases of products, the people that you personally enroll, and they're on your front line direct to you. And it is 20% of the commissionable value, right? So if that's $1,000, great. Then, you get 20% of that, $200, right? And that is what's paid on the weekly basis. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter if they're affiliates or associates or customers, whatever they buy, you get it. Now, the only qualification to do that is to be active with the 50 PV. Okay. So your first line, you're always going to earn on your first level as long as you're active with 50 personal volume. That's the only requirement. Okay. Now you can bump that up to 30% if you either have 500 personal volume, which is yours plus your customers, or if you can get 1,000 group volume from brand new people anywhere in your organization in that month. Okay. It doesn't have to be brand new people, right? Meaning they signed up in that month. right? It can't just be somebody that was inactive for 3 months and then they decide to buy a node. Doesn't work. Okay, you got to enroll somebody brand new in your entire team. Doesn't matter, somewhere in your entire team, as long as it's a brand new person that went and bought 1,000 in GB, then great. Or 2 people that bought 2 half nodes or whatever. Okay, all right. Now here's kind of what it looks like. So if your goal, step 1, this is how I would do it. Find your 3 top key leaders, your 3 generals, right? The 3 people, your ride and die people that you want to work with, and get them involved and be like, hey, we're doing this, whether you like it or not, too bad. I went and rescued you when you got a flat tire. So, hey, you're doing business with me, right? And you're going to just work together, those key people, and go for it. So inner circle people, and you just get them started with whatever node they can afford. So Sarah gets a full node, Liam gets a quarter node, Monica gets a mini node, whatever, but you're getting that 20% and even 30% because, it's the first month, you got that 1,000 volume. So you're good to go. So 360, 90, 30, right? Your first 3 people in your personal enrollment network. Okay. Now this is the fun one. I like to call this stacking. Okay. So let's take a look at earning potential from one single position in the team building structure, that business unit, okay, that associate position. And as you can see, as more and more product and services come in, the more we're going to be able to stack. Okay, so here's kind of what it looks like. Here's you. You're in that team building structure. You got your 3 people, right? Then they went and they got their 3 people each, right? And so on. So here's kind of what it looks like. But here's what happens. Let's look at this one person on that second level, okay, and how much that one position can mean for you. So let's say that person went and got Meetin, okay, so there's $1 for you because it's your second level. Maybe they got Safe, so there's 50 cents, okay. Maybe they're doing the travel, they're getting $1 from the travel. Maybe they did some purchases on Stacks, right, with the card, so there's another $1.50. So that's $4, okay, $4 just from that one person on your second level. But that person is now going to go and get some customers, okay? So that person enrolls some customers as well. Guess what happens? Maybe amongst all the customers, there's $2 in Safe subscriptions, there's $4 in Meetin subscriptions, there's $1.50 in travel, there's 50 cents in Stacks purchases. So now the total is 12, right? So that one person on your second level could be worth $12 total because of the way it stacks. Okay. So yes, I stole that name from the Stacks app that we're gonna have. So there you go. So $12 for just that one spot. Okay. And it could, look like this, right? You just never know what's going to happen, who's going to buy what. But as you work with them and you help them to get customers, each position is worth lots, right? And they continue to grow. So as we continue to bring in more products and services, right, onto our blockchain, and those people choose to purchase those products, more revenue is stacked up. It's amazing. Okay. Third way to earn, check matching. Okay. So this is step 2. Your step 2 is to get to Cloud 5. Okay. That is your second goal. So how do you do it? Well, if you can help your first 3 associates and then help them get their first 3 associates and so on, right? That's why I like to show the kind of the 3, you get 3, and so on, because it's easy for people to understand. I know there's go-getters that can go get 10 or 20, but the average person, we just talk about averages here and what people can really realistically fathom, right? Is, okay, I can go get 3, right? And just help people kind of duplicate that 3, 3, 3. And, they're getting a node and everything. You can get to Cloud 5 relatively easy, right? Just doing that. And so because there's no limits, right? And you can go as wide as you want, but, if you can get to Cloud 5, you've now unlocked all the ways to earn in our compensation plan. That means you're now getting that check matching bonus and you're earning 10% of every monthly payout on your team who isn't at Cloud 5 yet. So Charles makes $1,000. Guess what? You get 100 just from his check. Okay. That's what check matching is. It's really, really powerful. So that is the goal. Step 2, figure out how to get to your Cloud 5 rank as quick as possible. And then step 3 is just as simple as keep duplicating and ranking up, right? As duplication continues, you now climb through the ranks all the way to the top. You're now stacking and matching on hundreds and even thousands of people. And we haven't even talked about the digital rewards yet. Okay, that's a topic for a whole nother training. Okay, we're not going to get into that today, but the road is paved to the top. Just follow the system, help your team succeed. And next thing you know, you're going to be a happy camper. So there's the comp plan kind of in the one slide, right? You can kind of see the numbers. We're not going to dive into that because we've already gone way over time. But my friends, we are in something very, very special. Nobody else has anything even close to this, not in the world of Web3 and blockchain. We're kind of it, right? And if you like I said, if you kind of take the whole digital rewards concept and you put that on top of this as well, you stack it even more, we have the absolute best thing out there. So with that, we'll go ahead and stop sharing and open it up. Anybody have any questions or comments real quick before we call it a day? Steve, go ahead and I'll let you go ahead and unmute yourself. There we go. Unmute. There we go.
Okay, there we go. All right. Hey, first of all, I just, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say, I don't know if you guys appreciate the amount of time and effort that went into Jeremy's presentation today. I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, he's pared it down on the compensation plan. This has taken hours, guys, in order to share with you. And so I just think, we ought to appreciate what Jeremy's done. And then, Jeremy, my mantra is always, is it simple? Does it work? Can I do it? I promise you, when I had 100,000 people in my organization previously in other companies, I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. And Jeremy's showing how the duplication happens. And you may know what's going on with the people you've personally sponsored and maybe some of the people they've sponsored. But by the time it gets down to your third and fourth and fifth levels, you really have no idea. All you know is that people like the same thing you like. Somebody bought a node. Somebody bought, Meetin. Somebody bought our A1 card. Somebody bought our travel service. Somebody bought, all you know is that it goes cha-ching, 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 cha-ching without even realizing the benefits. But Jeremy pointed it out very, very well. Jeremy, I'm blown away. That was an excellent presentation, my friend.
Hey, Steve, one thing I would say, we need to take that presentation, we need to edit it to be an actual go-to video for everybody in the world to understand the compensation plan. Jeremy, that was the best compensation plan presentation I think I've ever seen. So you painted the picture. You painted the picture.
Yeah. And so, the reason why we've all been waiting is for these incredible products coming, right? And we've got some word on that. And guys, just buckle in because it's about to take place. We've been saying this for months, and now it's finally going to happen. I know behind the scenes they have a date, and it is a hard date right now, and you guys are going to be excited when you hear about it. So with that in mind, Jeremy, congratulations. Great job, brother. Appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And let's go get ready. I know Jeremy talked about getting his 3, I got my 12, and that's how you move forward, and so, as I look at all these people that I'm getting involved, they're getting as excited as I am now that the products are getting closer and closer for delivery. So with that, let's call it a Saturday. Good job, Jeremy. You're
all right. Thank you. Go out and stack, guys.
That's great.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.